Hey guys, let's get it. So this is Glenn Beck. I really respect him. He's been at the game for a while, and he was in mainstream media before. And he is talking to somebody who was in contact with the demonic. So a pretty popular guy as well. So let's get started.
Right, radical jihad, they kind of, you'll see this thing where they're grabbing somebody who has a need to belong, wants to fit in. Maybe even as a young man, you want power. Yeah, and you that's kind of that's that slippery slope that led me down that path. And then as I tell the story in the book, I'm still unbelievable friends with my core high school group. And the only thing we can chalk it up to is that it's everything we went through growing up that kind of made us keep this bond. But one of my buddies was there. We were drinking one night, and I'd gone to this full-fledged deal where I'm just talking in demon voices. I was losing friends. I was just, it was just evil, man. I had a Volkswagen, oddly enough, for my first vehicle. They do have good headroom.
You don't seem like the Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah.
You don't seem like the Beetle. Did you have the little flower in the dash?
No, they didn't do that then. This is a 1971, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, but solid white with chrome rims. Yeah, you know, doesn't matter what the body looks like as long as you got good tires on it. But the place that worked on the car was a Christian workshop, and I would set the tape.
You guys actually remember that though when we used to put the chromes on God. I used to have the best Ultima when I was in the military. I used to have the best Ultima, man, and they had the most perfect rims. That no matter where I went, man, everybody took a second look, man, because back then in the 1998-ish, man, rims were the thing, man. It didn't matter what your car looked like. It was about the rims, and I got a lot of girls through that car, dog. I got stories for that too, but let's keep going.
Say the band's Grim Reaper, and then somewhere in there in that 80s satanic, pentagram stuff, there'll be some demonic speak, and I would set the cassette to where when they cranked the car, it would just be blaring, because you could do that back then, and it would be blaring that stuff. It's just evil. It's just, I was not cool, and I was shooting everything in my backyard. I wasn't, it wasn't good. And one night, I'd started doing these like skits, if you want to call them that. But I was acting out a scene that I'd seen in the movie where it's a demonic possession.
And you were with people, or
Yeah, we'd had a party, and we were at somebody's house. I don't remember the name. I could see the guy. I can't remember his name. I didn't drive there that night. So just alcohol, no psychedelics, nothing to hallucinate or nothing like that. And I was doing the thing. We were in the same room. It was my buddy and his girlfriend, and I was on a couch. Nothing nefarious happened. Everybody, at least I didn't think it was. You know, everybody's passing out, but I'm doing this scene in my head where that I'd seen in the movie, and you talk like yourself, and you're screaming no, 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 and then you laugh like the demon, and you talk like that. And I was going back and forth doing this, I don't know, play, if you will, and it ends with the demon winning and the demon taking over your body. And I was facing the back of the couch, and when I rolled over, laughing like the demon or the satanic whatever possession, when I rolled over, what I saw was all red, like a watery image, and it was a demon looking at me, smiling with its crooked finger and nails and looking at me and giving me the come here. And I screamed. I laugh now because I'm 54, but I screamed probably the highest I've ever screamed. And from just me reaching, like sitting up on the couch and reaching for the light switch, I was as white as a sheet.
This happened to me before when I saw angels. Right? Everybody wants to say that like when you see an angel, you'll be filled with peace. No, no, that's not how that works, bro. No, 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 you just won't. When I saw angels, I didn't see their faces, thank God. And I share this in one of the upcoming videos. But when I saw angels, I was not filled with peace. No, I yelled like a bitch, like he. Yep, I did at the top of my lungs, right? And it took me a few seconds to calibrate, but they just stood there, they didn't move. They waited for me to be done with, sound like a bitch, right? But yeah, I've experienced that.
I was panting, pouring sweat. Of course, my buddy jumps up like, what the heck is going on, And I looked at him and I said, man, if I ever do that again, if I ever use that voice or even do this again, you got my permission to take a baseball bat and crack me over the skull with it or something to that effect. He got completely calm, Glenn. It was like the spirit just entered the room. Everything just went, whoo, and he looked at me, and I don't even know if he remembers saying it because I think it was the spirit. He looked at me and he leaned in as if he knew what I'd seen. And he said, I told you, didn't I? That was it. I didn't sleep. I walked to church. I don't know how many miles it was. It was a Saturday night. And I walked to Edwards Road Baptist Church in Greenville, South Carolina. And I think I sat through every service.
I would have too.
That was it. That was it for the demonic stuff for me.
What did he mean by I told you?
I think early on he had said, like, man, you need to stop that crap. You're scared.
So he
people.
was not part of.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he was he was one of the friends I was losing because I was going into such a dark place. And then, throughout my life, have I seen demonic stuff? Yeah. Have I had to go to a satanic concert festival for 3 days?
How do you do it?
I've very transparently, it's because they had Jack Daniels there. That's the only way I said.
As an alcoholic, I can appreciate that.
I'm like, it's at a bar, right? And they're like, yeah. And I go, do they serve whiskey? And they go, yeah. And I go, I think I can do it. I was like, because I don't know about walking into. It's just for me, when you walk in, it's sad because it's a bunch of lost souls, is what it is.
How many of those lost souls actually know what they're dealing with? Like, you didn't know what you were dealing with until it happened.
Yeah, I don't. I would venture to say a bunch because they're probably just on it for the kick, right. Or maybe they're saying they're atheist and they're doing it just to be funny, But you start scratching at the surface, I'm telling you right now, in my belief system, there's definitely spiritual warfare and all kinds of stuff.
It's the only way to describe, I think, what's happening, because it's sweeping the entire world. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's either deep mental illness or it's possession of some sort. There is, I have friends who are atheists. Mm-hmm. Who have said to me, I don't know how to describe what I'm seeing other than evil. And I know that's not an atheist word, and I know what it means, but I can't describe this any other way.
Yeah. And that's what I try to tell people. I put it in the book. I'm sure it's been said before, but the best way for me to explain it, a lot of these interviews, I've been blessed on this book launch tour and stuff, and even the Rolling Stone magazine article back in 2022. But I just say, look, you just need to understand that there are evil people on this planet that want to do evil things to good people. And it's been that way pretty much since the beginning of time.
When we say this is an evil world, when what's his name, the rapper that slept with Scottie Pippen's wife, you know who he is. I forget his name. Whatever. When he has a meme that says "the evil world out there" or something, right? He doesn't even know what he's saying, but what he's actually saying is actually true, right? So the problem with society today, why everything just seems to be all messed up. When I say messed up, everything, I'm talking about relationships between man and woman. I'm talking about just a sheer evil, like the haughtiness, the arrogance, the lack of faith, lack of belief. What would you call it if it's not evil? I think we have been so numb to evil for so long that we don't even know what good is anymore. Like we don't even appreciate good anymore. Have you? There's a chick over there in Puerto Rico. She and I got into it a little bit. Mm, Leave it at that. But she had told me that um, when she was in her very early teens is when she started having sex. And this is a girl that is 24 years old, and she's had about 28 bodies. You know, after we had a makeout session, and I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it at all that I actually did that. I am not proud of it. But it's just to prove a point. It's almost like she couldn't see that I actually wanted good for her. Because after that, she acted like it never happened. Right? It's it's almost like if I would have treated her badly, it would have made her even cling to me even more. For the fact that I was going to treat her well, it's almost like she didn't mix with that. I don't know how to explain it. And you see this a lot in the relationships now, like women just going just batshit crazy, man. You see it by the way they talk, by the way they dress, the way they have their hair, by their attitudes. You see it. You absolutely just see it. It's almost like all women, and I want you guys to pay attention to what I'm about to say. It's almost as if all modern women have downloaded the same virus. It's almost like somebody clicked a button and it was the same software was downloaded to all modern women. Another way of saying this is it almost feels as though all modern women are possessed. See, the thing about this word possession is when I say that, a lot of people just kind of brush it off and just say, it's just another Christian guy talking this and that. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I am a Christian. Yes, I do believe in God. Yes, my allegiance is to Jesus Christ. It is. But make no mistake, I am far from perfect. I can easily fall if I am not careful. Make no mistake. I am no different, no better than anybody, but at least, at the very least, one thing I can say that God would say about me, hopefully, is that I am at least trying. So it's when we use the word possession, it's almost as if people just kind of disregard it as something that's just, what are you talking this possession stuff, like this possession thing. Like it's just fables, whatever. Here you go, type of thing. Right. But one thing I will say is this: God Almighty has allowed the devil to win. And make no mistake, the devil is winning. This is a war. This is a spiritual war. God has allowed him to win. He's basically doing God's work for him, exposing the goats from the sheep. God says this over and over and over again in the Bible. Says it over and over again. Jesus Christ even said it. The path to the kingdom is very narrow, but broad is the street for those who enter destruction. He says it over and over and over again. Right? But now, when we talk about possession, a lot of people think in movie terms where, you got to be convulsing, you got to sound like a demon, your eyes got to turn to a different color and all that. No, no. I'm gonna tell you why. That's really, does that happen? Sure. That's complete and absolute possession. You have decided to give yourself up. But what if I said the only goal, the only goal of the devil, the only goal is for you not to believe God and not to adhere to his commandments, all of them. That's his only goal. Once he once he once once he does that in your life, he's won. What if I told you that's his only goal? Why would he reveal himself by actually causing people to behave like zombies? Crazy, convulsing, they have a physical change, they're eating their own skin. But he wouldn't do that. In order for him in order for him to successfully possess you, he just needs to make subtle but yet ever increasing changes to you and to your belief system. Subtle but ever increasing in intensity and duration. And make no mistake, the devil, he is extremely patient, even up to the point of your death. He will keep trying. Have you ever thought about it that way? What if possession really looked like somebody with anger issues, somebody who lied all the time, somebody who was promiscuous, somebody who couldn't be trusted, somebody who stole money? What if that was his leech into your life, his latch? What if that was his latch onto you? What if the devil has fully, truly examined you for your 40 years and it says, you know what? We can get to him through this. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's gluttony. You ever notice that when the devil was in a garden, when they were first created, Adam and Eve, he didn't attack them right away as soon as they were created. He didn't attack he didn't attack um Adam. One of the reasons why I think he didn't attack Adam was because Adam was in constant communication with God, because God would come down every night, every evening to talk to him, to reassure him. But there was something in the woman. He found some weakness in the woman that he was able to what? Sliver his way into. And what he found in that woman was what? Her imagination, her lack of contentment, her need for more. Tell me if you haven't heard that one before. Need for more. Greed. You know, when you look at all the modern women today and men, we believe me, we're no better. But I'm focusing on women because it seems to be I think men get it to a certain degree. We just want to provide for a loving family. That's it. But women, it's just never enough. If you look at society as a whole today, America has been going down ever since they started uplifting. Well, uplifting is the wrong word. They started the feminist movement. Me Too, feminism, child support. All these things are used and devised to break up the family. But more specifically, what if I told you that modern women as a whole who choose not to follow Christ are possessed and they don't even know it? Because that's exactly the way the devil wants it. You know, we see a woman that has anger issues. We see a woman that is constantly lying. We see a woman that can't hold a job. We see a woman that is promiscuous. We see a woman that divorces over and over and over again. But because this happens so frequently, we're numb to it. And that is the trick. Let evil happen so frequently that you just ignore it and you're no longer sensitive to it. A black youth kills another black youth in the hood, southeast, Martin Luther King Avenue. We just uh we just scroll by. Evil is so pervasive in this world, so pervasive that we are no longer sensitive to it. I find that interesting. Something as serious as divorce has become so comical, so predictable, that men no longer even want to even think about marrying a woman, which at the end of the day serves the devil's purposes to break up the family, to break up the union between man, woman, and God. There's another video that I have coming up where you will not believe this, ladies and gentlemen. It is now a competition. It is now a competition as to how many men a woman can sleep with in a day. This lady just had her rectum reconstructed because she took the back door from 500 different men. This is a white girl. She she's attractive. So you have to ask yourself, what could ever possess a woman to behave this way? Notice I use the word possess. What would cause, now, even more importantly, how the holy fuck could men themselves actually sign up to do that to a woman? Wrap it up this way, and I want you guys to think of it this way. If I were the devil and I have examined mankind through a millennia, I know their weaknesses. The one thing I would use to pollute the earth would be sex. That'd be the one thing. Why? Because we want it so much. It's the easiest sin. that just befalls mankind: sex. But here's the thing about it, ladies and gents. When you have sex with somebody, you're not just having sex with that person. What you're doing is you're making a blood covenant with that person, regardless of what is in that person. You are exchanging blood. You are. And it is so, so tough, ladies and gentlemen. It is so tough. I struggle with it. Me. I struggle with it, dude. But y'all want to say I'm not trying? All right. I dare any of you vatos. I dare you. The past 4 years, I've had sex once. I'm not trying. You don't think I'm trying? Last year, I didn't masturbate for half a year. Not trying? Okay. I didn't think so. So when I talk because it's something that I've done. And even that one person I slept with, I'm kind of, shit, I do that for. Because now I've matured to the point of knowing that sex is such an easy weapon for the devil. Imagine this. Let's say Jesus Christ says, two of you are now one when you have sex. Yeah? Okay. So that means if the devil has possessed somebody, you would never know it. It's in that person. So now when you have sex with that person, you're now one with that person. It's like a bridge. You again going inside of her, it's not like a bridge. You guys are now one. And now whatever she has, you have. Then what happens? You as a dude, because you're a dude, you go have sex with somebody else. You're one with that person. She passes on and so forth. See how that works? It's like a virus. It's like a possession. That's how that works. Have you noticed the black community, even the world, STD rates are all time high and ever increasing? Black women are all, for the most part, sleeping with the same men. And have you noticed? I find this very interesting that women will always say, I need a man that is 6 feet tall, has a six pack, and makes six figures. What an interesting number. You know, they just say it, they don't even know what they're saying. They look at a man's outside appearance without looking at the character. Now, where have you read this at? God is the opposite. He doesn't care about what the outside looks like. He cares about the character of a man. That's why he picked David over what? Saul. When Jesus Christ says the devil's mission is to kill and to destroy, that is it. Do y'all think that the devil is playing games out here? Why do you think there's so many marriages that are what? Being destroyed? I'll tell you why. Because social media is the devil's playground. All it takes is a whisper from the devil. If a woman leaves herself opened, this is why Paul says, arm yourself with the word. If a Christian leaves himself or herself open, all the devil needs to do is just whisper a thought. And that's where it all starts. A thought. Remember the devil, remember Jesus Christ said, the devil roams to and fro the earth, looking for whom he can devour. Do y'all think that this is a game? Do y'all think that we are not at war? I'm talking about spiritually. Look around. Just look around. I'll ask you guys again. If you were the devil, what's the most efficient way that you can cause people to not believe in God? What is the most efficient way? I personally believe would be through sex. No need for possession. No. No need for that. Just give them all the sex they want. No need for possession. They don't need to crawl on the floor and no need for that. They're possessed well enough to just be right under the radar. They look normal. They sound normal. Sometimes they even sound nice. All these guys are the same passport bros and, having all these wild parties. The Bible talks about that too. It does. This is not a game, y'all. This is not a game. You want to divorce your husband for no reason? God didn't tell you to do that. You did. But who inspired you to do that? Probably the devil, because you probably left the door open at some point. You must stay vigilant. You have no choice. If you look at any of these rich guys and all these influencers and blah blah blah, the one thing that you will see that they're very principled about other things, except when it comes to sex or something that boosts their ego, and it typically is sex. They will not let that shit go. No way. They won't. They just won't. They want those chicks flying over to see them. They can slay them. They call it JUCO, junior college. It's all fun and games, isn't it? It's so fun. It's just so fun. But remember, one thing, and I have this coming in the next video. One thing, God allows all these things to happen. Why? Because at the end of the day, God has eternity in his back pocket. He's got eternity in his back pocket as a reward for what you did right, what you did wrong. So if you're a good person, nobody's good, but if you're trying to be a good person and you're suffering in this world, know this too. God has eternity waiting for you of bliss. If you're not so good person and you're having fun, you're rich, you're doing all these different things, no problem. God will allow you. But make no mistake, God has eternity waiting for you as well. You can't look at this world and just say, you know what, nah, it's just humans being human. Nope, nope, nope. Women behave like a monolith, too much like a monolith for me to ignore. They just behave too much. It's just they behave too similarly. They sound the same. They talk the same. They dress the same. They have the same weave. They're disrespectful the same. Sexless marriages, disrespectful to their husbands. They all act the same. Now, why is that? These are the fruits of somebody who is disobedient and somebody who has been what? Lied to by the devil. That's all I got for this video, guys. I talk about relationships and I'm also Christian. So So by the grace of God, I am alive, and He's allowing me to talk this talk. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later. We talk about divorce matters because divorce actually matters. All right, deuces.